Hello everyone. I have returned with a brand new video of another tier list. I really like making the last two and getting a little break from the undeserved Downfall Off series. I decided to just do something really quickly, so what better else than a tier list, since they're fun to make. This time is for Sonic, as you can tell. If you don't know, I don't know how you don't know, but I am a huge Sonic fan. I have been with this little dude for as long as I can remember. In fact, the first video game I ever played in my entire life was Sonic the Hedgehog on the Game Gear. It was a gift from my grandma, if I'm not mistaken, and I remember being glued to that little Game Gear, just playing Sonic away, and never getting past the first level. I'm pretty sure. But it has been a while, so who knows. I am consolidating this to only main titles, simply because I haven't played a good chunk or almost all the side games of Sonic. So like some of the Game Gear ones, in fact there's one right here right now which I have not played, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So let's begin chronologically. So let us begin with the one that started it all, Sonic the Hedgehog. Now this game is the one that started it all. It's the one that put Sonic on the map in gaming and is the one that made him the icon that he is today. However, looking at it now, it's pretty meh. Now why do I say that? I say that because there's only two good levels in this entire game. That being Green Hill Zone and Starlight Zone. Those are the only two good ones. The rest are either meh or very boring. Like the water level or Marble Zone. I really don't like those levels because they're basically the antithesis of what Sonic stands for, which is high-speed, momentum-based platforming. Since the very beginning of the game, as soon as you started, you are popped into Green Hill Zone, which is a great, phenomenal introduction into how Sonic works. He rolls into a ball, he jumps on enemies, and what people notice the most is that Sonic was incredibly fast, and you can go even faster when you roll down hills, when you have momentum. So this gave players the idea that, oh, okay, so this is momentum based, so let me play around that so I can keep up the high speed platforming action. And that works. The more you get experience throughout Green Hill, the more, the better you get. The faster you can keep Sonic up for longer times in the level. It was really good introduction. Then you get to the second level, Marble Zone. And then you're immediately halted into slow moving platforms across lavas, pushing other blocks down traps so you can keep moving through, pressing buttons to then wait for a slowly opening gateway, and it was bad. It was pretty bad. Now I will say the Marble Zone does have my favorite theme in the entire game. I really do like Marble Zone's theme. And that's about the only good thing about it. Then there's an industrially kind of level, which kinda is a mixture of slow platforming with also momentum-based high-speed platforming, which kinda really doesn't mesh well. You could really tell that they were experimenting with this one to see what stuck and what didn't, and it really shows in the level design being a very, very mixed bag. Now, water level, yeah, awful, slow, and it takes forever. And it gave us anxiety from the very first countdown in Sonic the Hedgehog. You know what I'm talking about. You have 3 seconds to get out of the water, otherwise Sonic will drown. And that music will play, and you are freaking out, and it's just... Ooh, that's a memory, isn't it? So yeah, there are bosses in this one, and they're okay, I guess. They're pretty okay-ish. They mostly involved for you waiting for an opening and then just jumping on Eggman. And every single other boss is just a variation of that. But the variation is not really interesting. Like, the final boss is literally Eggman trying to crush Sonic with like 4 piston pylons, and you have like a small window to see in which pylon Eggman is, and then you have to quickly jump on it, rinse and repeat for a good bit. So yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, very respectable, but I'm putting it in meh. Now Sonic 2, on the other hand, I'm putting it straight in poggers. Absolute pogger game. This does everything that a sequel should do. It took everything from the first game and improved upon it, and took out what didn't work, chucked it out, kind of, and we'll get to that. First and foremost, all the stages have high speed action of platforming. Every single one. From Emerald Hill to the Industrial to Casino Night Zone, all of them have high-speed platforming. In fact, there is a water level here, but if you are good enough, you will never be able to touch water. So that's really cool type of level design. It gives you sort of like high skill ceiling challenge. Where yes, at the beginning you might mess up and you will be underwater. The more you improve, the more you get better at avoiding most of the obstacles and challenges of the level, keeping that high speed action and making that sort of learning very rewarding. And this game does that incredibly well. In fact, I think this game does the high-speed platforming the best out of all the classic Sonic games from the 90s. I will say that. This is my favorite classic Sonic game, as a matter of fact, because of that. Not only that, it also introduced Tails, which is the sidekick to Sonic, because of course he must have a sidekick. Sonic was literally a rival to Mario, so of course if Mario has a sidekick, then Sonic would naturally have one as well later on. And Tails is super cool. This starts the whole playable characters in the Sonic franchise, where characters are a variation of Sonic with their own spin. Tails has his 2 tails, so it allows him to do flight. So you can do more of a flight platforming with him, and because of that, he's a little bit easier than Sonic. So yeah, this introduced not only more playable characters, but a brand new classic move that is a staple to Sonic to this day, and that is the spin dash. The spin dash is where Sonic crawls into a little ball, stationary, revs himself up, and then launches himself into a high-speed little blue bullet for a short period of time, but if you actually line it up well, you can make Sonic go super fast into that ball for a really, really, really long time. And that also adds into the high skill ceiling that you learn from this game, and it's honestly super duper good. I really like Sonic 2 because of that. So yeah, Sonic 2, wonderful game. Poggers. Now, where is it? Continue on. Now, Sonic CD. Put this in good. I'll tell you why. Now, Sonic CD is just a Sonic-only adventure. It has a really interesting take with the future and past gameplay styles. Now, in this game, you get to time travel in the stages, where if you go to the past, it's a more tropical, more primitive type of stage aesthetic, where in the future it'll be more futuristic, more metallic, more metropolitan. Is that even a word? But yeah, you get the gist of it. Now, with the future segment, there's two variations of that future, being the bad future and the good future. The bad future being this drab, almost lifeless looking stage that fully mechanic, robotized, fully influenced by Eggman. But to completely change that, you have to go to the past and destroy some generators, I'm pretty sure it was called. Yeah, some Batnik generators, and there was like this projector thingy of Metal Sonic that you had to find in the past levels. And once you destroyed those, you can go back to the future, and not only will there be no more enemies because you destroyed the generators that spawned them to begin with, you will also get this brand new aesthetic in the future segment, where it's all colorful, animals are all over the place, and it's beautiful. And the soundtrack changes with each segment, and let me tell you, the soundtrack in this game is beautiful, absolutely phenomenal. Either the American or the Japanese version, they're bangers, and they're my absolute favorite classic Sonic soundtrack, with the only contender being Sonic Mania, but we're gonna get there when we get there. So yeah, Sonic CD is super good because it also introduced Metal Sonic and Amy. Amy being the love interest of Sonic, which Sonic likes but is kind of shy to admit. And Metal Sonic is the first ever rival character we ever get for Sonic. Now, of course, Eggman is like the main bad, but there's always gotta be a rival for Sonic in a game, and Metal Sonic is what started that, and honestly is for good reason, because in the second stage, I'm pretty sure, he rolls in, kidnaps Amy, and then throughout the game he messes with Sonic, and he tries to impede his progress and stuff until the very end, where you get to race him in Stardust. So the names of the stages are kind of blurred to me, I'm really sorry, but in the very end you do get to race him into a banger song, and whoever wins is the one that gets destroyed by Eggman's death beam. Eggman is behind you at all times during the race with a giant death beam, where if you get caught is an instant death, but if you go all the way to the end, you close a gate to Metal Sonic and he dies. Well, supposedly. He just gets bonked in the head and then just gets off the stage. So yeah, now the level design can be hit or miss in this game because it has high speed segments, but it's mostly more about exploring the stage rather than running through it, if you know what I mean. Especially when you're trying to go for the generators. Yeah, you definitely are more just kind of slowing down and exploring around to see where you could go into the past and find the generators. So it's a more slower gameplay style. So because of that, yeah, this game does get bogged down by that. And to more extreme, this type of levels design can either make or break the game for many Sonic fans, which is very understandable. For the people that want more of a high-speed, constant platformer that just goes all over the place, like Sonic the Hedgehog 2, this one was definitely a more slower paced game, so going from the high speed of the second game into the more methodical exploration of this one, it can be a bit jarring, so I understand why this one is not really as highly regarded as others, but I still like it very much, so it's staying good for me. Now anyways, I see that Sonic 3 is split into like 3 different things, like Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and then Sonic and Knuckles and then Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Now everybody who is a Sonic fan already knows the reason why Sonic the Hedgehog 3 got split from Sonic and Knuckles. It was more like developmental hell for this game, and the time constraints. So because of that, they split the game into 2. So let's just stop pretending that these 2 are completely different games when they're not, because the full package is Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And as a full package, this game gets all the way to the top. Why? Because it improves everything on Sonic 2. Better level design, better aesthetic, arguably better music. Arguably, it's very neck and neck for me. I think I like Sonic 2 soundtrack a little bit more, but Sonic 3 and Knuckles is very up there. It introduces a brand new character, Knuckles, which is the guardian of the Master Emerald, which is another thing introduced here in this game. You also get Super Sonic back with the Chaos Emeralds. But not only that, you also get the Super Emeralds, which not only gives Sonic a brand new form, which is Hypersonic, that is so... It left such a lasting impact that to this day, fans are begging Sega to bring it back, even though one of the developers specifically stated that the Super Emeralds were thrown into another dimension or something like that, simply because they did not want to bring that whole plot line back. So Hypersonic and Super Knuckles and Super Tails were thrown out the window with that statement. With that being said, it also gave Tails and Knuckles a super form, which was super cool to see because they got their own different aesthetic that was super cool. Knuckles got a magenta pinkish form where, yeah, he's super, he does everything he does in the game faster, jumps higher, climbs faster, and glides for longer, if I'm not mistaken. Tails, of course, faster, flies for longer, flies faster, but he also gets he also gets an army of birds that can literally destroy bosses and enemies for him. So you, as Super Tails, can sit in the corner and let your army of birds do the work for you, literally winning by doing absolutely nothing. And that is absolutely broken. but it is super funny to see, and it's also very worth it because the process to get Super Tails is you need to get the Chaos Emeralds first, then you get the Super Emeralds, and then you get to play as Super Tails. So the super forms are overpowered, but the process of getting them is it balances it out. So let's go into Knuckles. Again, he's a variation of Sonic with his own niche. He can climb walls and he can glide. That's basically what he does. And he has the harder levels of the game, making him the hard mode of the game, which is super cool. This game has different difficulties via the characters you play as, with Tails being the easiest, Sonic being the normal, and Knuckles being the hardest. So every single character has his own different adventure, giving you more incentive to replay the game over and over and over and over. So because of that, people to this day think that this is the greatest Sonic game ever. It does so much well, and it deserves all the praise. So that's why it's all the way up here at Poggers for me, because I also love this game. But I grew up with Sonic 2 a lot more than I did with Sonic 3. I played Sonic 2 a lot more than Sonic 3. So because of that, I don't really put Sonic 3 above Sonic 2, because it's more of my own personal nostalgia for this game. But Sonic 3, objectively, is much better than Sonic 2. But because it's my list, and I am very attached to Sonic 2, I'm putting it just a little bit above Sonic 3. So, hopefully you can understand why. Actually, let's go ahead and put this in never played, because, again, I never played it. I never had... The only games in the Game Gear that I had back when I was a little lad, it was Sonic the Hedgehog 1, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Mortal Kombat 2. Those were, and there was a fourth one there that I don't really remember, but those were the games that I only had, and this one was not one of them, so because of that, it is being here. I don't know anything about this game, so let's just continue.